Today on 16-Bit Game Review.
Daphne shrugs her shoulders. I play horseshoes with a horse. And finally, I ride on the tracks.
Hello and welcome! Licensed video games have a very difficult time getting popular because the fans of the series have a very big bias about what the game should actually be because they've watched the show and they've seen what the TV show should be like. An example would be something like SpongeBob SquarePants and The Fairly OddParents. Both shows are about hijinks, action, and fast-paced comedy. And that translates extremely well to a 3D open-world adventure game like Fairly OddParents, Shadow, Showdown, or SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. These games are fast-paced, quick action 3D platforming games which fit everything perfectly, and they were received and reviewed well. I like both of them. But a game where, let's say, it doesn't entirely fit is with, let's say, Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo doesn't really fit well in an open world 3D platforming game because it's about going around, solving a mystery, getting clues, and ultimately trying to figure out who a baddie is. That doesn't really translate into a 3D platformer, let alone a linear 3D platforming game, which is like Crash Bandicoot. Don't get me wrong, it's a good game, just not Scooby-Doo. What would be a good Scooby-Doo game, in my opinion, would be a open world-esque point-and-click adventure game where you're talking to a townsfolk, trying to solve one of their many problems, and ultimately finding the crook and getting told, I would have gone away with this 2-for-1 for you Bethlehem kids. A game like this actually does exist, and I've owned this game for an extremely long time. In fact, it's owned it so long that I actually had to go home and find it buried in a bunch of Windows XP backup disks. And this game in particular is Scooby-Doo Showdown in Ghost Town.
Showdown in Ghost Town is a very simple point-and-click adventure game made for small children. Its premise is eerily similar to an old Scooby-Doo cartoon, Mind Your Own Business, and the story is more or less ripped right from it. A quick synopsis would be this. The gang visits an old abandoned mining town which once had a lot of wealth and prosperity. Insert ghost is scaring away guests and visitors, driving people away. The ghost is actually trying to dig up an old wealth, which is trying to make them potentially rich. The gang discovers this, figures out who's behind it, and get told, I would have gone away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids. The game is rather boring, as there's not a lot you can actually do in the game other than move your cursor over to an object, click on it, and hope it actually does something that will move the game forward. There are some instances where you have to memorize a pattern or you have to change a clock. However, this game is designed for children and it is extremely simple to figure out how this works, and ultimately the puzzles are very simple. There are some mazes in the game, but they're really not much to speak of. There is extra stuff to do other than just pointing and clicking and progressing in the game, because you see, unlike other Scooby-Doo games, Scooby snacks are actually a rare commodity, so rare that Scooby actually eats the last one just to get the game started. But how do you get more Scooby snacks in a ghost town? Well, you see, you have a pie fight, or you play horseshoes with an actual horse. These are your obligatory mini-games in a kid's game. These are simple point-and-click mouse movement games or just mouse clicking games to gain more Scooby snacks. My advice, play the pie game. It is very easy just to spam and hit the guy and get a lot of Scooby snacks, more than enough to beat the game. This is a simple point-and-click adventure game. How do you think it's going to control? The aesthetics in Showdown and Ghost Town is a mixed bag of good qualities and bad qualities. The good qualities come in with the actual location itself. It is an absolutely beautiful and potentially realistic cartoon place that you could quote-unquote visit. It looks the part and has some wonderfully contrasting colors that it makes it feel warm, welcoming, and slightly spooky. The bad elements of the aesthetics come in with the actual characters and the animations. The characters feel like they're not actually a part of the world, and the animations, on a better sense of the word, feel very cheap, very choppy, very unpolished, and that's mostly because this was part of a trilogy of games where they reused the same aesthetics and characters. The other reason is because this was designed to be run on any computer back in 1999. What that means is the minimum processor speed that this thing can run on is 166 megahertz. So essentially this game could run on a toaster, and the only other thing it needed was QuickTime Player 4. With that in mind, the aesthetics are okay. It's just not up to quality compared to, let's say, a modern or even a slightly newer game. I wish. It does have one 3D element shoehorned in. The chase scene with the minecart and a steam locomotive. Yes, it does have music, but not a lot of it. And when it does have music and it uses it, it does it in such a way that it's not annoying. Actually, it's quite enjoyable to listen to within the game. And I never once felt like muting my game just because of how repetitious the music is. Unless you're 3 years old and Scooby-Doo is the greatest cartoon character in the whole world, Showdown and Ghost Town is a very hard sell. It's a good game, but it's short. It's an enjoyable mystery, but it's very predictable. It's fun, but at the same time, it's boring. There's a lot of waiting, walking around, and waiting for animations to finish. The puzzles are simple and easy to guess, and when it does become abstract, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Personally, if it wasn't for the nostalgic factor, I wouldn't even recommend this game, but alas, I've been playing this game since I was a wee little lad, and ultimately, it's a fun game, even today for myself. But if you really want to get this game, I'd recommend picking it up. It's not worth buying per se, but if you find a disc lying around at a yard sale or a flea market, or even just lying around on the internet, it's worth your time to go and see what's up. Anyways, thank you for watching. Today's featured game from 16-Bit Games is Robots of Rage, a simple beat-em-up free for Android and iOS. If you liked the video, please check out the annotation below for more videos or the cards. Leave a comment if you have anything to say, and subscribe for more videos. Anyways, thank you for watching.